it over to our analyst desk.
Thank you, Riv. Guys, at the beginning of the show, we identified a lot of the issues TSM had coming into playoffs. Well, they came out game one with some answers.
Yeah, I mean, these are the things that I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks for TSM, empowering the rest of the members to be able to make plays. They not only do they give Santorin the Nidalee that he's wanted to play for so long, they put Dyrus on the Olaf. Bjergsen is an enabler with the Lulu, speeding people up and providing defense for them. And this level, the lane swap opening that they had was absolutely beautiful to get Dyrus ahead at the beginning of this game, taking the turret so quickly and allowing him to back and get back to lane at full health with an item buy before Haunter even gets up there, and then shove it all the way to the second turret there. What that does is create pressure on the opposite side of the map because there's a triple wave stacked at your secondary turret, presents Gravity with a catch-22. They either have Haunter teleport in and try and save this dying turret in the bottom lane and lose 3 waves top, or they leave him top and they give up another turret, which TSM used to chain through the early game. Then their mid-game handoff after that was a little bit shaky, but the opening was really good.
Yeah, there's actually a bunch of interesting theoretics on the Olaf push that came down because you have an overextended top laner without flash. Like, I guess his teleport might have been up, I don't remember at the time, but like, pushing really far down, like that's a champ that could be ganked, and he had no backup from Bjergsen, no backup from Santorin. I knocked something over. We're good though. Yeah, he had no backup from his team, but like Gravity didn't even punish that at all though, which was interesting. You know, mid laner's already getting pushed in. There's not a lot of you could have done to back him up, but it was interesting that like no one even did anything about the solo push Olaf.
Move had a rough game.
Yes, he did.
I've been in that situation before. You get a little too close to that mid lane when the mid laner out levels you. Gravity here going over those mistakes at this moment. But one of the scariest things as a jungler, especially in that stage of the game, right around where mid laners are hitting level 6, you do not want to go there unless you're absolutely sure you have vision everywhere, and you definitely don't want to solo the mid laner.
I do want to dissect this TSM strategy a little bit from Gravity's point of view. As we mentioned, you know, changing to a more top carry oriented team comp here with the Olaf, enabling him with the Sivir as well as the Lulu plus his Ghost. How do you, from the Gravity perspective, being on the losing end of this, attack that strategy moving forward?
I think you can test the champion pool, right? Because we haven't seen this style in like 2 years from TSM. How many carry champions in the top lane does Dyrus actually know? I mean, it's a cute champ select play, pick the Lulu, pretend it's Dyrus's, and then pick the Olaf later on. But how many more of these strategies exist? How many more carry tops are there for TSM? If it's just Olaf, it takes you 1 ban or a first pick or something like that as Gravity or blue side next game, and then TSM have to go back to a different style, right? If Dyrus is the only guy who stepped up in practice for the last 2 weeks, and it's only Olaf, then there you go. Bam, 1 ban, 1 pick.
That is one option. I think that even if they do decide to address it in Champ Select, you have to address the lane swap advantage that they got, because whatever champion he's on, with that sort of advantage, it's going to make the matchup rough for Haunter. And to Haunter's credit, he even did all right.
Yeah.
You know, with the disadvantage that he was forced to eat coming out of the lane swap, he still was able to do Shen things.
Yeah, you know, we've hammered home the idea that both of these teams are looking to return to form, right? At one point, they were at the top of the table, no longer. For Gravity, what that was really innovative champion picks or out-of-the-box champion picks and innovative early game strategy. Well, here they got beat in the early game. So the question is, where does that come from COP? Is that something that they're not doing pre-game, or are they not adjusting well to the circumstances when presented with them?
I really think it's Gravity not adjusting to what their team is like right now. For example, TSM returned to form by being good, but what they did was they gave priority to Dyrus. They gave him a champion that deserves priority, gave him priority, he does well. TSM reinvented, honestly, in some way, and became good again. Gravity, I don't think have realized that they're not doing very well anymore. Like, I don't like Tristana as a primary damage dealer.
Out of context, that's a pretty
oblivious
good
to
quote.
The fact that they're not doing well. I know, I understand your meaning.
So just in champ select wise, for example, right? Like, Haunter says, oh, you know I can beat Dyrus. And he gets a really supportive AD carry, right? They're playing Tristana, who doesn't do all that much damage. Keen's not going to be winning lane against Bjergsen. Move's still doing really poorly. Like, Altec and Haunter are the only consistent players right now on this team who could deal damage, and neither of them are in a position to carry.
Now, before we move out of this segment, I do want to call up a replay. It's the final fight of the game. Jat asked to look at it again. So for his sake, we're going to pull that up on your screen right now, and we'll go through it. We'll go ahead and roll this one out right away.
Yeah, so Sivir comes in, the hardcore dive, and Keen separating up against Bjergsen just doesn't do very well in the duel, and he gets circled around on here. The frontline dive just sort of Lustboy cutting back well, move just continually not tanky enough. He was down 3,000 to 4,000 gold under Santorin, so just there is no really big front line here. Haunter goes mostly untouched to the very end, and when you get to bypass all that, TSM honestly playing a pretty split-up composition, which Sivir helps, of course. She pops the ulti. You get the buff for the full duration, whether she's in range still or not. Lets TSM find all these individual fights with the gold lead, play around the Azir turret, barely even hits anyone.
Yeah, Bjergsen goes all the way around, pops in with the Luden's Echo proc to take down Keen there. But I also want to point out, not only is it the champions and the early game that they're using to enable these guys, you can see it in their playstyle. Turtle's allowed to flash forward. He did it a couple times.
He did it a couple times.
A couple times to try and chase people down. Now, you never want to give people an ultimatum to be like, you never do flash forward or something like that. In the right scenarios, you can. Of course. Of course, they don't want him to go back to the 1 versus 5 flashes. But it was him flashing forward at times when it was appropriate. And Santorin as well. He went for an early gank mid. He flashed forward as well on the Nidalee. I want to keep highlighting this because Santorin on one of these champions where he can be aggressive early.
Yeah, you know, what's also interesting too, though, Zyrene mentioned it a little bit. There's this deceptive amount of damage that was coming out of the Lulu there because Dyrus was chunked out at the beginning of that fight. He had pulled so much attention from Gravity that, you know, ultimately Lulu was, you know, Bjergsen was able to come around the backside and eliminate a couple people. And so, funnily enough, 20k damage coming out of Bjergsen, the most in the game.
But he's only a third of the team's total. Everyone else shared really well.
True. Very true.
I think people overestimate the lack of damage on Lulu.
Through the first 30, she's great.
All right, well, there you have it. Switching gears for just a minute, we want to throw out a question to all of you on Twitter, rather. Today, we're sharing the caster question love, and this time it's our Pun Master General. Freak's turn in the hot seat. Send us your questions by tweeting at LOLesports with the hashtag #WhatTheFreak. There you have it. As you get to tweeting, we're going to reset for Game 2 between Gravity and TSM. Don't go anywhere. The action continues after this.
Don't ask him about a desert island either. That one.
You feel good?
I feel good.
You feel good?
I feel good.
You feel good?
I feel good.
A jump in by Santorin. He goes down immediately. Can't really figure out which target he wants in the beginning.
Nice.
He knocks back Lustboy. Keen comes in very big, but Dyrus is around the wall. He's actually going to use Ragnarok to get himself right out. Everybody dodges the hook.
Nice.
I take stump.
Yeah. Hello's Altic. Hello's Altic. Go to Haunter. I'm coming over for Bunny.
All right, we win this.
Can we end here? We can end.
What a ridiculous fight to put Team Solo Mid in the base of Gravity at the end.